You don't need another degree. You don't need to be born with genius. You just need to wake up. Because the moment you decide to sharpen your mind like a weapon, you become unstoppable. The world doesn't fear someone with a loud mouth. It fears the one who sits quietly in the corner, calculating, watching, learning. When you combine wisdom with self-control, when you mix logic with confidence, you don't just grow, you become dangerous, dangerously smart. The kind of smart that makes noise without speaking. The kind that sees 10 moves ahead while everyone else is reacting to the last. The Stoics understood this. They weren't chasing validation, they were chasing internal mastery. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. They didn't live to impress. They lived to understand. They built minds forged in fire, unbreakable under pressure, calm under chaos. That's what this video is about. Not surface-level smarts, but deep, powerful, disciplined intelligence. Today, I'm giving you 7 Stoic and self-empowering principles that will rewire how you think, how you feel, and how you act. These aren't just tips. They're tools to make you sharper, stronger, and more focused than 99% of people out there. Because when you train your mind with purpose, the world stops controlling you, and you start controlling it. If you're tired of overthinking, second-guessing, reacting emotionally, or playing small, this is your turning point. These principles will help you develop mental clarity, emotional strength, and fearless focus. Not someday. Now so, if you're ready to level up your mind, destroy mental weakness, and become a weapon in a world full of noise, smash that like button, drop a comment on the principle that hits you the hardest, and make sure you subscribe to channel. This isn't just another motivational video. This is your blueprint for mental dominance. Let's rise, let's evolve, let's begin. Number 1, think deep, speak less. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In a world that glorifies noise, being silent has become a superpower. The truly intelligent don't need to announce themselves. They let their actions and presence speak louder than any words ever could. When you slow down and actually think before you speak, you separate yourself from the crowd. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. You're not driven by impulse, you're driven by insight. To become dangerously smart, you must master the art of restraint. Hold your tongue, study the room, watch how people move, how they talk, how they react. Because every word they say tells you more about who they are. And every moment you stay quiet, you gain clarity they'll never see. Deep thinking is about zooming out. It's about seeing the whole picture when others are stuck chasing fragments. You question the narrative, you challenge the assumptions, you look for what's missing. Most people listen just to speak, but you listen to understand. You listen to break down the logic, to see the motive behind the mask. And once you see the truth behind words, you can't be fooled. You gain a tactical edge. You become the one in the shadows, pulling strings with precision. When you speak, make it matter. Speak with purpose, not just noise. Speak to deliver insight, not to feed your ego. That's the Stoic way. Seneca didn't waste his breath. Marcus Aurelius didn't scream his wisdom. They lived it. Quietly, powerfully. Every time you hold back an emotional reaction, every time you pause to think before you speak, every time you ask a better question instead of rushing to answer, you train your mind to cut sharper, see clearer, think deeper. That's what makes you dangerous. That's how you rise. Number 2, feed your mind like your life depends on it. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Think about that. Your soul, your essence, takes on the form of what you constantly feed your mind. If you're absorbing chaos, gossip, and distractions all day, don't be surprised when your life starts reflecting confusion and weakness. But if you fuel your mind with wisdom, strategy, and purpose, you become lethal. You become clear, focused, and undeniably powerful. What you feed your mind will either sharpen you like a blade or dull you into mediocrity. You have to treat your attention like sacred ground, because every video you watch, every word you read, every conversation you entertain, it's all shaping your internal world. Garbage in, garbage out. Power in, power out. Stop scrolling through nonsense. Cut off the content that numbs you. You're not here to be entertained. You're here to evolve. Start replacing distractions with philosophy. Replace junk content with timeless knowledge. Study the Stoics. Learn from the warriors, the builders, the thinkers. Dive into strategy like it's survival, because in many ways, it is. Most people let their minds rot. They let weeds grow unchecked, but not you. You're going to cultivate fire. You're going to plant ideas so strong that they burn through fear, laziness, and mediocrity. You're going to water your mind with discipline, daily reading, focused learning, deep thinking. And you're going to prune it with purpose, cutting out the useless, the negative, the weak. Learn something new every day. Expand your awareness, challenge your own thoughts, sharpen your beliefs until they can't be broken. Learn how the world works. Learn how people think. Learn how systems operate. Because when you understand the terrain, you stop being a pawn and start becoming a strategist. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, but only if you treat it that way. Fill it with truth. Fuel it with mastery. And when the moment comes to act, speak, or lead, what flows out of you will be unstoppable, not because you were lucky, but because you trained for it, because you earned it, because you fed your mind like your life depended on it, because it does. Number 3, control your emotions before they control you. Seneca wrote, "He is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware." What does that mean? It means you are not ruled by circumstances. You are ruled by how you respond to them. Emotional control is not about pretending to feel nothing. It's about feeling everything, but not letting it shake your foundation. It's about facing insult, rejection, chaos, and not letting them touch your inner peace. Most people are slaves to their emotions. Someone cuts them off in traffic, and they explode. Someone says something critical, and they spiral. They're reactive, impulsive, and predictable. But the Stoic doesn't move like that. The Stoic breathes, pauses, observes, chooses. That space between stimulus and response is where true power lives, and that space is where dangerously smart people dominate. Because when you master that space, you don't react, you respond. You don't get played, you play the game. When everyone else is panicking, you stay calm. When others lash out, you remain centered. And that control becomes magnetic. It makes people lean in. It earns respect. It makes your words carry weight. It gives you leverage in conversations, relationships, and negotiations. Emotional intelligence is the new superpower, and to sharpen it, you have to study yourself relentlessly. What triggers you? What gets under your skin? What patterns keep repeating in your emotional life? Face them head on. Don't avoid them. Understand them. Embrace them. Then build a system, routines, reflections, habits that help you stay anchored when the storm hits. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be a robot. It means using emotions like a weapon. You feel anger? Channel it into focus. You feel pain? Channel it into growth. You feel fear? Channel it into preparation. The key is not to deny emotion, but to convert it, to transmute it, to take raw fire and forge it into something productive. The Stoics didn't avoid discomfort. They trained for it. They practiced poverty. They imagined loss. They mentally rehearsed adversity so that when it came, they were ready. They weren't shocked. They were steady. And that's the level of emotional mastery you're aiming for. Because the person who loses their temper loses their power. But the one who remains calm under pressure, that's the person who shapes the outcome, who leads the room, who wins when it matters. So train your emotions daily. Control your reactions like a king guards his throne. Because the one who controls their emotions controls outcomes. And that's what makes you dangerously smart. Number 4, master the art of strategic thinking. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, not because he shouted commands or chased applause, but because he moved with precision. He thought clearly. He anticipated chaos. He acted only when the time was right. That's what being dangerously smart looks like. Not impulsive, not reactive, calculated, calm, strategic. Strategic thinking is a discipline. It's the ability to zoom out and see the entire board when most people only see the piece in front of them. It's seeing the cause and effect in every move. It's recognizing that every decision today shapes the outcome of tomorrow. It's not about being clever. It's about being prepared. When most people live day to day, chasing distractions, reacting to whatever comes at them, you must rise above. You must start thinking in decades, not days, in outcomes, not opinions. The moment you start living deliberately is the moment you rise above the herd. Start with this. Before you act, ask the right questions. What's the cost of this decision? What does it lead to 5 steps from now? What's the hidden opportunity I'm not seeing? What happens if I do nothing? What happens if I wait? These are the questions that sharpen your mind. These are the questions that give you an edge. Strategic thinkers don't rush. They plan while others scroll. They prepare while others panic. They move in silence and strike with purpose. They know that every resource, time, energy, attention, is limited, and they refuse to waste it on things that don't serve the mission. Life is not checkers, it's chess. You're not just trying to win one move, you're trying to dominate the entire game. That means knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, knowing the terrain you're standing on and the people you're dealing with. Expect resistance. Anticipate betrayal. Prepare for loss. That's how a general moves. The Stoics practiced this through a concept called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They visualized worst-case scenarios so they could respond with wisdom when reality hit. That's strategy. Not just thinking about what could go right, but preparing for what could go wrong. You don't have to be cold, but you do have to be clear. Emotion clouds judgment. Strategy demands clarity. And clarity is born from reflection, discipline, and ruthless honesty with yourself. Ask, what's working? What's not? Where am I leaking energy? Who's helping me grow? Who's dragging me down? Being dangerously smart means you don't need to talk big. Your moves speak for you. Your silence makes noise. Your wins echo through the room. So plan every move like it matters, because it does. Every word, every action, every alliance. In a world where most are impulsive, you will be intentional. In a world full of noise, you will become the quiet storm that rearranges everything in its path. And that's how you checkmate mediocrity. by mastering the art of strategic thinking. Number 5. Make discipline your daily religion. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That's not just a quote. That's the blueprint. Decide who you want to be, then act like it, every single day. You want to become dangerously smart? Then discipline must become your religion, not a part-time habit, a lifestyle. Discipline isn't punishment. It's not something forced on you. It's freedom. The freedom to shape your own destiny. The freedom to rise when others sleep, to focus when others scroll, to act with intention while the world runs on impulse. Start with the basics and repeat them until they become part of your identity. Wake up early, not because it's trendy, but because the morning is your battleground. In that silence, you sharpen your mind before the noise begins. Read daily, not to impress anyone, but to feed your brain with fuel that actually matters. Train your body, not just for looks, but to build mental toughness. The discipline of physical effort spills over into everything else. Declutter your space. Your environment reflects your mind. Chaos outside creates chaos inside. Cut out distractions. Prioritize rest, not laziness, but real recovery. A sharp mind is a well-rested one. Your brain isn't a machine. It needs time to recalibrate. And above all, cut weak habits, ruthlessly. Mindless scrolling, late-night junk food, meaningless conversations. These aren't just bad habits. They are mental termites. They eat away your focus, your energy, your edge. Replace them with habits that sharpen your mind like steel. Study something hard. Journal your thoughts. Write your goals down daily. Reflect, refine, repeat. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, no matter how small, you grow stronger. You build trust in yourself. And that trust becomes the foundation for something most people never touch: real power. The power to choose, the power to act, the power to create. Willpower is not some magical force you're born with. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you don't hit snooze, every time you sit down and read instead of watch, every time you do the hard thing when no one is watching, you're lifting mental weight. You're training your inner champion. Understand this. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's not about never failing. It's about showing up, day after day, no matter what. It's about having the courage to stay consistent, even when motivation is gone. Because motivation is fleeting. Discipline is what remains when the fire dies down, and that's when the real work begins. Small habits, executed with force and focus, build momentum, and momentum builds identity, and identity creates destiny. You don't become smart in one moment of brilliance. You become smart in 1,000 quiet decisions, made in the dark, repeated until your brain sharpens into a blade. The undisciplined chase highs. The disciplined build empires. You want to be dangerously smart? Then build your empire one routine at a time, one book at a time, 1 hour of focus at a time. Stack it, protect it, live it. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more doers. You don't become intelligent just by thinking. You become intelligent by doing. So stop hoping. Stop waiting. Decide who you are, and then do what you have to do. That's discipline. That's power. That's how you become dangerous. Number 6. Ask better questions. Socrates, the father of philosophy, wasn't feared because he had all the answers. He was feared because he asked the questions no one else dared to. The kind of questions that didn't just seek knowledge, but exposed illusion. That shook the foundations of false beliefs. That cracked open the mind and forced it to confront truth. Real truth. If you want to become dangerously smart, stop trying to memorize more facts. Start asking better questions. Because your life, your thinking, your growth, your clarity will rise or fall based on the questions you're brave enough to ask. The average mind asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The exceptional mind asks, "What is this teaching me?" One keeps you trapped. The other sets you free. One puts you in the role of a victim. The other transforms you into a student of life. Don't ask, "How do I get more?" Ask, "How do I become more?" The first is rooted in greed, the second in growth. One chases external validation, the other demands internal evolution. Dangerously smart people don't just ask questions. They interrogate reality. They challenge assumptions. They question their own thoughts, their own motives, their own strategies. They don't look at life through a fixed lens. They rotate the lens until they see clearly. They don't look for comfort. They look for clarity. Next time you're stuck, don't just push harder. Ask, "What am I not seeing? What belief is limiting me here? What would this situation look like if I approached it with full strength, full calm, full ownership?" Most people live on autopilot. They recycle the same surface-level questions, so they keep getting the same shallow answers. But if you want to become sharp, dangerous, then your thinking has to go deeper, because deep questions lead to deep solutions. And deep solutions build a powerful life. Asking better questions breaks the loop of reaction. It shifts you into reflection. And reflection is where wisdom is born. That's where growth happens. That's where the mind becomes a weapon instead of a sponge. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your perspective. Questions rewire that perspective. They shift your focus from problems to possibilities, from fear to focus, from confusion to clarity. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So, examine yours. Constantly, relentlessly. Audit your thoughts. Question your behavior. Challenge your beliefs. Dig beneath your excuses until you find the root. Then pull it out. Smart people memorize answers. Dangerously smart people question the entire game. They don't accept the rules as they are. They analyze the board. They redefine the objective. And if they need to, they flip the table. So start today. Ask better questions. Write them down. Revisit them. Let them push you deeper. Let them challenge your ego. Because behind every world-changing mind wasn't just a good answer. There was a better question. Number 7. Remember, death makes you sharp, memento mori. Remember, you will die. It's not a threat. It's a wake-up call, a blade against your neck, not to scare you, but to sharpen you. Because once you accept that your time is limited, you stop wasting it. Once you realize that death is coming, you stop living like you're immortal. Most people live like they have forever. They put off their dreams. They delay their greatness. They numb themselves with distractions. But not you. You're going to become dangerously smart because you're going to live like you're dying. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, reflected on death constantly. He used it not to fall into despair, but to rise with urgency. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That's not fear. That's focus. When you carry the awareness of death in your back pocket, you walk differently. You talk with intention. You move with purpose. You strip away the trivial and lock in on what matters. Your life becomes a weapon, aimed, honed, unshakable. You stop arguing over stupid things. You stop holding back what's in your heart. You stop scrolling for hours like time grows on trees. Because it doesn't. And when you truly see that, your intelligence multiplies. Not because you know more, but because you waste less. You read with urgency. You write like your words are your final message to the world. You train your mind and body like they're your only tools for war. You treat people with presence because you understand this moment may never come again. Memento mori slices through all the noise. It kills ego. It destroys procrastination. It burns away excuses. It forces you to face life directly, without illusion, without delay. And here's the truth. When you remember that you will die, you finally begin to live. Fully, fiercely, intelligently. You don't chase status. You chase impact. You don't seek comfort. You seek legacy. Dangerously smart people don't fear death. They use it as fuel, as focus, as a relentless reminder that every day is either a step forward or a step wasted. Death is coming for all of us. So stop acting like you've got time. Start thinking sharper, living deeper, moving with fire. Because intelligence isn't just in your logic, it's in your urgency. And when you live like your days are numbered, every move becomes calculated. Every decision becomes meaningful. Every moment becomes sacred. That's how you become smart, not just in thought, but in presence, in how you show up, in how you lead, in how you love. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. Now live like it. This world doesn't need more noise. It doesn't need more empty talk or shallow trends. It needs depth. It needs warriors of wisdom, men and women who can think clearly, act boldly, and lead powerfully. It needs you. You don't become dangerously smart by accident. You forge it through relentless learning, through emotional control, through unwavering discipline. You earn it in silence, in solitude, in sacrifice. So, here's your challenge. Stop coasting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop pretending you've got time. Start feeding your mind like it's your only weapon. Start mastering your emotions before they destroy your potential. Start moving with urgency, because the clock is ticking and the world isn't going to wait for you to catch up. Because when intelligence meets intensity, you don't just succeed, you dominate. You don't just survive, you lead. And that's what this channel is about. Building dangerous minds, resilient minds, stoic minds. If this video lit a fire in you, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment below. Tell me which principle hit you the hardest. And subscribe for more content that sharpens your thinking, strengthens your philosophy, and fuels your rise to the top. You were born to lead. Now train like it.